Bonjour à tous, Marc-André Piette from Hylands Golf Club joining you for the 7th week of the program. Now that the fundamental basics are figured out, now that we understand everything that we should do before we swing, we're actually going to talk about the golf swing. Everybody's a bit different in terms of swing, on how they're going to take the club back, how their muscles are working with them, but one of the things that's really key is to understand how to rotate. So if you can take away from this lesson today just an understanding on how the shoulders or the upper body should rotate around the spine, that should be the main instruction you should be thinking about the golf swing throughout your summer. So what's really key here to understand is that there's an awful lot of talk about weight transfer into the golf swing, but really what we want to make sure we do is that we transfer our weight while turning properly. So if I explain this, if I just stand natural, most people, if you put a club on your shoulders this way and you rotate to your back foot, you'll feel that there'll be pressure or weight that will travel towards your back heel, and then you go forward, the weight or pressure will travel to your forward heel. The same sensation is what we're going to try to get into our golf swing. So we get into our proper posture here, and then we're going to try to rotate the shoulders around our spine in such a way that the weight is going to travel to my back heel or my back foot, and then forward, same thing to my forward heel, my forward foot. So if we turn earlier this way around our spine, you're going to see that as I'm standing up over the ball, my upper body is slightly tilted forward, and therefore my left shoulder or my front shoulder is going to go a little bit downwards. But it is not going down this way because my weight then goes to my front foot. It's going to go more around where my weight now goes to my back foot. So just a great exercise you can do at home. Derek is going to follow up with exercises you can do also in preparation of your golf game. Just understanding that when we're turning, we have our full upper body rotated behind the ball in such a way that my weight travels to my back foot. So with that instruction, keep in mind that first off, do everything you can to be successful before you swing. And then once you swing, just make sure that you rotate the upper body around the spine, and then the weight transfers to your back foot. So Derek is going to follow up shortly with great mobility exercise that's going to help you increase the rotation you'll be able to do during the golf swing. And we'll see you next week.
Welcome back, CAF members. Derek, FSI, TPI here at Carling, back for part 2 of week 7 of the Thoracic Rotation and Shoulder Turn part of your virtual golf fundamentals and fitness program. We have some awesome exercises for you today to work on strengthening those areas that we loosened up on Monday. So we talked about the shoulders, we talked about the chest, and we talked about the lats, trying to loosen those up to allow for a better rotation in that upper body through impact and also on the backswing. Today we're going to do some corrective exercises that will help you strengthen those areas as well to be able to push and pull through those movements a little bit easier. Okay, so all you're going to need for today's exercises is going to be a resistance band. Okay, some kind of resistance band. I have a little looped band here. Works really well. You can anchor it to different things, which you will need for today's exercises. Exercise number 1, what we're going to start with, we're going to activate the back of the shoulders, the upper back, and the shoulders from the front to the mid side of the shoulder as well, with a band pull apart and shoulder pass through. Okay, so to start, the closer you grab this together, obviously the harder it's going to be. You increase the amount of tension as you pull the band apart. So better off to start a little bit wider with this. Thumbs are turned out. What we're going to do first, shoulders are down and back. We're going to think about pulling the shoulder blades together. Thumbs always stay pointed either up or back. Then you come back, and then you're going to pull it apart, and we're going to go overhead with it. Okay, so just like this here. and then back down. So we're gonna go, if you want to, you can double up on your band as well, just like this. We're gonna pull it apart, come back, then from there, up and over, and back down. Thumbs out, pull it apart, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Make sure the neck stays as relaxed as possible as you go through this movement. So 1, shoulders together, 2, keeping the arm straight, it's over and back. All right, so 10 to 12 reps for 3 sets of that exercise. Number 2, we got a banded row with external shoulder rotation. So you're gonna anchor your band to something at about between hip to chest height. Where we're gonna go from here is gonna be a row first. So the row is gonna be elbow back without rotating the body. And then from there, at 90 degrees on your elbow, you're gonna think about rotating and then coming back. You wanna start with a band that is relatively light in terms of tension, because what we're looking for is elbow back to 90 degrees and then getting the forearm to about perpendicular to the ground. Okay, so parallel to your spine, perpendicular to the ground. If you have something that's way too tight, what's going to happen is the row will be fine because your back muscles are strong enough to pull it back, but a lot of times the external rotation muscles aren't strong enough to rotate, and then all we think about is bending through the wrist. So make sure that band is light enough to pull back, rotate, back down, and back. And we're going to do it on both sides since we're working one arm at a time. From there, we have a banded bent over or a golf stance external rotation. So this time, we're going to take out the row. And again, you want a nice light band, something that doesn't have too much tension. You're going to get into your golf stance here as if you're holding a mid-iron. You're going to bring the elbow up to shoulder height. And from here, we're just working on external rotation of the shoulder in the golf stance position without rotating the body at all. So the only thing that moves here is going to be that shoulder joint from external rotation, internal rotation, and back and forth. We're working on the strength of that external rotator, which is key in that backswing. It allows you to pull the arm back in your backswing and allow you to rotate a little bit better. From there, we have a half kneeling single arm rotary press. Okay, so for this one, same anchor point. If I'm pressing with my left arm, I'm going to go right leg forward, and then from here we're going to do some rotation. So my chest starts open, I'm going to rotate and press, and then come back, and I'm going to go back into that open position. So my hip opens, my chest opens, I rotate and press, and at first maybe we go with some tempo, so not too fast. But if we want to add power to this, then we can go with a little bit more speed on that movement. Exercise number 5. Now we get to the lifts and the chops. So the lifts and the chops are two of the most important movements that you're going to get for rotary down on a diagonal plane and up on an opposite plane. So the chop first. The chop is a downward movement where you're going to anchor your band a little bit higher than usual. So at least shoulder to head height. From here, with the chop, you're going to step the leg closest to your band forward, and your opposite knee comes to the ground. Hands can stay close together depending on the tightness of the band. If the band is tight, hands close together is good. If the band is relatively light, you can go with hands separated and arms straight. But from here, we're thinking of going from shoulder to hip. Shoulder to hip. And you'll notice there's not a lot of movement in my lower body. I'm really focusing on turning my shoulders and getting the band from above my shoulder to my hands near my opposite pocket on my shorts is what we're looking for. Isolateral movement, so we're focusing on one side at a time, so whatever you do on one side, you will do on the opposite side. Your last movement is the lift. So the lift, more challenging than the chop. Starting from a bottom anchored position now. So now we're starting from the ground. We're going from the pocket of that short overhead with it. Okay, so again, tighter band. You're going to want to go hands close together. Looser band, you can go hands further apart. This time, we want to get that knee out of the way as we rotate upwards, so the knee closest to your anchor point is going to be down on the ground. The knee furthest away from the anchor point is going to be up. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on upward rotation. Okay, so if the band is tight, it's going to want to pull you sideways. Keep the core tight, double overhand. We're going to think about going from hip to over the shoulder and back down, looking for that rotary motion or that shoulder turn. So I'm doing all my movement in my shoulders and I'm trying to stabilize through the lower body. So like I said, all you need for today's exercises are going to be bands. If you have a cable machine at home, you're blessed to have a cable machine at home. You can also use a cable machine if it's adjustable from top to bottom. That's another option for you. I know we can't use the gyms right now. So with that being said, have some fun with the bands. If you need any kind of scaling options for these exercises, you can always reach out to myself. My email's at the end of this video. But we will see you next week for the last video, which is going to be pre-round routine, working on dynamic warm-ups and your pre-round range routine, which Marc has set up for you. We'll see you then.